Good morning, honorable members and those under the sound of my voice. Today in our time of reflection, I would like for us to reflect on the thought, towels over titles. One of the most important leadership lessons I've learned over the years is that towels are more important than titles. Sadly, when most people think of leadership, they rarely think of towels over titles. Towels represent service. In the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 4 and 5, the scripture reads, "So Jesus got up from the table, took off his robe, and wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around him." In this bold act of humility, Jesus, who was their teacher and their Lord, demonstrated the true essence of leadership, which is to serve. On the other hand, titles represent superiority. A story is recorded in the book of Mark, chapter 10, verses 35 to 45, where two brothers were masking their leadership aspiration behind their desire for titles. They wanted to sit on the right and the left hand of Jesus. They were very ambitious, and they loved the idea of the limelight, power, and influence that comes with leadership. They had a superiority complex. They were not interested in serving, they wanted to be served. Jesus told them in Mark chapter 10, verses 43 to verse 45, "Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And who wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." In conclusion, as we gear up for the next general election, I want to encourage every politician under the sound of my voice who desire to remain or enter the sacred halls of Parliament to keep your motive pure and choose towels over titles. Choose to serve and not be served. Choose to lift others rather than seeking to be lifted. Choose to empower and not wield power. I leave you with this final thought today. To make our country better, the Bahamas need politicians who value towels over titles. Selah, think and act on these things. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we hallow your name today. We praise and we magnify you. For you are the giver of life and you're the source of all joy. You are the great I am. You are he who was and is to come. And so, Father, today we pause for just a brief moment to pray for our political leaders. We ask, Almighty God, that you would give them the courage and the desire to choose towels over titles. We pray that you would help them to choose to serve over seeking to be superior. Help them to choose to be what it is you've called them to be. We pray today, oh God, that our leaders would serve in humility. We pray, God, that our leaders will choose to lift others rather than to be lifted. Now, Father, we thank you for today's proceedings, and we ask, Almighty God, for your divine protection and your divine blessings upon our leaders today. We pray that the business of this house will be conducted in decency and in order. And Heavenly Father, we pray that you will continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. In Jesus' name we pray, and all of God's people say, amen. Let us pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us all rejoice and be glad in it.
Philip Davis, Chester Cooper, Fred Mitchell, Glennis Hannah Martin, Alfred Sayers, Dr. Michael Darwell, Clay Sweeting, Keith Bell, Wayne Monroe, Jobeth Colby Davis, Ginger Moxie, Mario Boleg, Jomo Campbell, Basil McIntosh, Miles LaRoda, Pierre Glover Roll, Lisa Ramming, Zane Lightbourne, Dr. Hubert Minnis, Jamal Strawn, John Pender, Marcus Roll, Leon Lundy, Kirk Cornish, Wade Watson, Leonardo Lightbourne, Leslie Miller Bryce, Leroy Major, Sylvanus Petty, Mikhail Bonnaby, Michael Pintard, James Kwesi Thompson, Aram Lewis, Shannon Dawn Cartwright, Adrian Gibson, Adrian White, Kingsley Smith, Darren Pickstock.
Good morning, honorable members. Communications by the Speaker on introduction and swearing in of new members, laying of documents by ministers. The Chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the Public Debt Management, Bahamas Registered Stock, 2029, 2031, 2032, 2036, 2048, and 2053, Directions 2026.
Order that the documents be brought up.
Amen.
Order that the documents to lie on the table. Further laying of documents by ministers. The Chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, beg leave to lay on the table a copy of the medium-term debt management strategy prepared by the Debt Management Office, Ministry of Finance, financial year 2026-2027 to financial year 2028-2029.
Order that the documents be brought up. Order that the documents to lie on the table. Further laying of documents by ministers. No further laying. Thank you, honorable member. Statements and communications by ministers. The Chair recognizes the honorable member for Tall Pines.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy. This morning I considered a privilege to make this communication in the Honorable House concerning the new hospital in New Providence. But first, I'd like to thank God for health and strength and the opportunity to serve the great people of Tall Pines and to thank them for their ongoing support. Mr. Deputy, we all can agree that every Bahamian deserves access to safe, affordable, compassionate health care supported by well-trained professionals in modern clinics and hospitals. But we know that our healthcare system carries legacy issues that is compounded by its aging infrastructure and financial challenges. The issue of shortage of bed space, overcrowding at the accident emergency at the Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital, coupled with new emerging threats to public health, manpower shortage, continue to affect our ability to respond to the needs of the Bahamian people the way we ought to. We hear legitimate cries from patients and will continue to respond to their cries by improving healthcare delivery systems. We have executed our evidence-based plan by upgrading clinics and critical spaces at the Rand Memorial Hospital and the Princess Margaret Hospital. Finally, after years of renovations of the PMH accident emergency, it's finally completed, and shortly we would start the work at the Princess Margaret Hospital kitchen, the Legacy Ward, and Adolescent Unit. Mr. Deputy, our Blueprint for Change outlined our administration's plan for healthcare reform, and this morning I intend to speak about key reforms that is ongoing in my ministry. By way of our transformative health agenda, my ministry is investing in infrastructural upgrades throughout the country. We have recruited and trained healthcare professionals. We have strengthened legislation, advanced digitization and information system, and with the aim of establishing a new patient-centered integrated healthcare model across the country. We continue to have meaningful dialogue with our unions, and we are addressing outstanding issues at the bargaining table. We are listening, and we want to give our workers the opportunity to improve. Deputy Speaker, as we continue to build a healthcare system that better serves the people of Bahamas, I rise this morning to speak specifically about the new hospital in New Providence. Let me say from the onset that the need of a new hospital in New Providence is not a recent notion, nor it is a project decided by our administration at the spur of the moment. For decades, studies and assessments, including the Dawson Report in 1999, have identified the physical and operational limits at the Princess Margaret Hospital and the challenges at its current location. The PMH was built in the 1950s, and since that time, our population has grown, the incidence of non-communicable diseases is on the rise, and despite early detection and modern treatments, cancer is still the leading cause of death in the Bahamas. Evolving public health threats have placed additional strain on both public hospitals. The yearly healthcare budget continues to grow, now exceeding $300 million, which have never happened in the past. During the COVID-19 pandemic, my ministry was overwhelmed and simply lost the ability to carry out the Ministry of Health mandate because of the aging infrastructure and shortages. At the same time, epidemiological evidence over the last 15 to 20 years verified that despite budgetary increases, the Bahamas continue to experience one of the highest incidents of maternal and neonatal mortality rates in the region. This reality, along with the increased incidence of chronic non-communicable diseases affecting mothers seeking antenatal care, demonstrated the country's need for a specialty hospital. This approach for maternal and child health care places, like in Trinidad and Tobago, is a strong indication of the effectiveness of putting this specialty facility in place. Mr. Deputy, over the past 4 years, my ministry has undertaken extensive preparatory steps to get us to where we are today. During this journey, 50 acres of land were acquired and transferred to the Public Hospitals Authority. Feasibility studies, geotechnical investigations, environmental assessments, public consultation, town hall meetings, financial negotiations with private sector groups, as well as the Chinese Exim Bank, were all completed before construction could even begin. Finally, Mr. Deputy, my ministry had to address the flooding concerns that residents brought to our attention in the surrounding areas. So in spite of accountability and transparency as promised, this morning I will lay the following documents in this honorable House at the end of my contribution, and these documents include the Bahamas Hospital, New Providence Hospital Feasibility Report, contract documents for the Bahamas Hospital project between the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the China Railway Company, loan agreement with the Chinese Exim Bank, construction environmental management plan, environmental impact assessment, the certificate of environmental clearance, the Department of Physical Planning site approval, drainage assessment and flood mitigation reports, and lastly, the land clearing contract. Mr. Deputy, these 9 documents collectively confirm environmental, financial, and compliance standards inclusive of engineering studies and flood mitigation strategies. This new state-of-the-art hospital will be located on an elevated 50-acre plot land away from the well fields in central New Providence, with adequate space to build a sustainable, eco-friendly medical campus designed with infectious disease prevention, incorporating pandemic preparedness protocols in the forefront of the design, with enough land for expansion. This proposed 200-bed healthcare facility will feature specialized maternity and child healthcare. It'll have wards for children, intensive care services for mother and child, diagnostic laboratory facilities, some day surgical suites, green spaces, accident and emergency, and the country's first reference mall capable of securing and maintaining patients in the event of any form of mass casualty. Mr. Deputy, this concession loan agreement with the Chinese Import-Export Bank allows for the construction of this multi-story reinforced concrete structure built by the Beijing-based China Railway Construction Company with both Bahamian and foreign workers at a cost of $268 million US dollars. It's important to note that the China Railway Construction Company has a large footprint in the Caribbean and currently building hospitals in Trinidad and Tobago as well as Guyana. The financing will be at a favorable interest rate of 2% over 20 years, inclusive of an additional 5-year grace period. The Chinese Exim Bank will fund $195 million US currency, approximately 70% of the total cost of the project, and the remaining $73 million will be funded locally or internationally, or a combination of, by way of the Ministry of Finance, for the procurement of medical equipment and diagnostic equipment, inclusive of CT scans and MRI scans. Mr. Deputy, I want to thank the Prime Minister for his vision and unwavering support, as well as the Financial Secretary and his hard-working team for remaining steadfast in our pursuit to upgrade healthcare infrastructures across the country. I must admit, over the last 4 years, we faced many challenges in getting us where we are today and finally getting this low-interest loan financing mechanism in place. Mr. Deputy, in the contractor's report, it confirmed that 50% of the workforce will be Bahamian and 50% of the workforce of this project will be foreign workers. But I must admit that discussions are still ongoing for a better ratio of Bahamian construction workers. During the construction and recruitment, assessment teams will operate on site in collaboration with the Department of Labor and Immigration. This process would allow for close monitoring of compliance, and skilled Bahamian workers will be registered, assessed, and where qualified, refer directly to the contractor for employment. Let me make it very clear. Any violations to this agreement would result in fines to the contractor. On-site training programs will also be implemented to ensure that a project of this complexity, we have adequate transfer of knowledge. Concrete batching will occur both on-site and off-site to ensure local concrete companies get a piece of the pie. Much of the aggregate generated at the site during land preparation will be used during the construction phase, including landscaping and parking lot construction. This approach reduces heavy equipment traffic on the main roads, limits environmental disruption, and improves safety for the surrounding communities. The project will take about 36 months to complete, followed by a 3-year maintenance contract to satisfy all warranties with equipment at the site. Bahamian maintenance team will be integrated from day one to ensure that there's a transfer of knowledge so that when the foreign counterpart depart the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the facility will be maintained by trained Bahamian workforce. Mr. Deputy, site preparation is my ministry's responsibility, and over the last 6 weeks, we have been working closely with the Ministry of Environment to preserve flora, shrubs, trees in order to comply with the protocols laid out in the environmental certificate. Today, I am pleased to report, under the supervision of my ministry and the Ministry of Environment, our project environmental consultant and her team have tagged most of the plants and trees, and they have been plotted, and on completion of the hospital will be transplanted into the landscape to ensure that we maintain the ecosystem that was there before we started. Next week, tractors will arrive at the site to begin land preparation. Shortly after, foundation will be laid out and the work will begin leading up to the vertical construction. Mr. Deputy, during my public consultations, concerns were raised by many residents from the surrounding area that the construction of this new hospital will worsen flood conditions in the Papal Track area and the Grove area. I am pleased to report that after careful assessment, the drainage and flood mitigation report by local engineers verified that the hospital will not worsen flooding in the surrounding communities. In fact, it identified long-standing deficiencies in drainage maintenance and proposes corrective measures, including deepening and expanding drainage pools, improved canal management, and having structured maintenance of drains as part of the ongoing program. Mr. Deputy, some questions have also been raised about the timing of this project, and it has been suggested that we put this hospital project on the back burner for now. While we have considered all views, experience have taught us that major national infrastructural projects follow a process and will never truly present at the perfect time. Delaying the action in search of an ideal timing only postpones solutions or, in some cases, prevent them from materializing at all. As outlined in our Blueprint for Change, I believe that we have taken the proper steps on behalf of the Bahamian people, who will certainly benefit from construction jobs and the services provided at this specialty hospital for many years to come. The realistic time for occupancy is somewhere between 30 to 36 months from the date of groundbreaking, and that will happen very shortly. Once these specialty services at the Princess Margaret Hospital move to the new hospital, this would make way for essential renovations in order for us to expand services, medical and surgical services at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Mr. Deputy, manpower is essential to the long success of this project and to ensure we do not create a hospital where we don't have the staff to maintain it. On September the 21st to the present, my ministry recruited and trained large cross-sections of individuals to expand our workforce. On coming to office, I met a human resources component in healthcare in a crisis. The public health system had lost significant numbers of experienced nurses, clinicians, and technical staff with no structural response in place during the pandemic, and immediate intervention was required. I became personally involved in the recruitment exercises, training, and specialized options and retention to ensure that we conduct a focused approach to begin to improve our manpower resources. Let me say that throughout the world, there are shortages of healthcare professionals, and the Bahamas is no exception. Challenges exist in our healthcare system and hospitals, not only in the country, but regional. But yet, our Caribbean neighbors are building new hospitals while simultaneously addressing shortages of healthcare workers in their local jurisdictions. Mr. Deputy, the truth of the matter is, we are addressing these issues of manpower shortages at all fronts. And to date, I can say that more than 500 Bahamians have been hired in my ministry, but we still need more staff. We continue to recruit, and we continue to bring staff members in from abroad, but I'm pleased to report that some 47 retired nurses will be entering the healthcare system next month. And we are in the final stages for recruiting an additional 50 Ghanaian nurses, many with specialties, for the Rand Memorial Hospital and the Princess Margaret Hospital. Mr. Deputy, training is paramount for our nurses, our doctors, our midwives, our pharmacists, our allied healthcare professionals, and we are training them locally, in country, online, and abroad. The Public Hospitals Authority Academy, private sector colleges, the University of the Bahamas, doctors' hospital teaching areas, and international partners are all a part of this integrated pathway to improve our local healthcare workforce. Yes, like other Caribbean countries, we are losing nurses to private hospitals abroad. My ministry is addressing many of these issues brought to my attention by our council as well as the nursing union, and we are putting steps in place to prevent and to stop the hemorrhaging. Mr. Deputy, this new hospital aligns with the health commitments outlined in our Blueprint for Change, where 2 new state-of-the-art hospitals was promised to the Bahamian people. And yes, I am here today to deliver the 2nd hospital for New Providence. Finally, this new hospital will create construction jobs and a wide cross-section of well-paying permanent jobs in the healthcare sector. It will help to save lives and will move the country healthcare system into the 21st century. We at the Ministry of Health and Wellness are tasked with preparing our healthcare system for sustainable and progressive growth. And yes, this David-led administration has proven from day one that we are up to the task and ready to carry the mantle for the next 5 years. I thank you, Mr. Deputy. And Mr. Deputy, with your leave, I now lay the 9 documents outlined in my communication for public record and scrutiny and consultation.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Order that the communications be brought up.
My first document is the revised feasibility study of the Bahamas Hospital.
Order that the communications to lie on the table. Order that the documents be brought up. Order that the documents to lie on the table. Further communications by ministers. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I rise today to table the Bahamas National Energy Policy 2025-2030, a document that represents far more than policy on paper. It represents a turning point for our nation. The National Energy Policy is a direct manifestation of this government's, the PLP's, Blueprint for Change. Our commitment to transformational reform that addresses the fundamental challenges holding our country back. When we presented our blueprint to the Bahamian people, we promised comprehensive energy reform because we understood that without affordable, reliable power, economic growth remains constrained and families continue to struggle. When this administration took office, we inherited an energy system in crisis. Not the kind of crisis that makes headlines every day, but the kind that quietly drains family bank accounts, forces businesses to close their doors, and leaves our most vulnerable citizens choosing between paying their light bill or putting food on the table. The numbers tell a sobering story. $500 million in debt at Bahamas Power and Light, 80% of Family Island generation equipment requiring immediate replacement, 200 megawatts of new generation capacity needed just to keep the lights on, a grid so fragile that engines warned us we were on one major failure away from catastrophic, prolonged blackouts across our archipelago. This national energy policy is our response to that crisis. It's not just a plan, it's a promise that we will transform our energy sector from a burden into a foundation for prosperity. A promise that affordable, reliable, clean energy will reach every Bahamian on every island. A promise that we're not just fixing what's broken, we're building something better than we've ever had before. The policy at heart lies a simple but powerful mission to create an energy sector that enhances quality of life for every Bahamian, not just maintains it, enhances it. Our vision is equally clear: a financially, environmentally sustainable sector that provides developed world standards of energy service while supporting every other national development priority we hold dear. To achieve this vision, we've established 12 strategic goals that will guide every decision, every investment, every regulation in our energy sector. These aren't abstract aspirations. They're concrete commitments. We're committed to independent regulation that balances stakeholder interests fairly. We're committed to engaging internationally, regionally, and domestically to learn from the best and share our own innovations. We're committed to enhancing economic growth and competitiveness because affordable, reliable energy is the foundation every business needs to thrive. We're opening doors for private investment and innovation, creating opportunities for Bahamian citizens to participate and prosper. We're building a knowledgeable, productive workforce ready for the energy jobs of tomorrow. We're protecting our precious natural environment while dramatically increasing renewable energy use. And critically, we're ensuring energy security, safe supply, efficient transmission, universal service, protection for vulnerable consumers, and least cost supply for all customers. These goals aren't isolated ambitions. They reinforce each other. When we protect the environment through renewables, we also enhance energy security by reducing fuel imports. When we build local workforce capacity, we create jobs while improving service quality. When we ensure least cost supply, we boost economic competitiveness while protecting vulnerable families. This integrated approach aligns perfectly with our international commitments, particularly Sustainable Development Goal 7, which calls for affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all by 2030, and the Paris Agreement on climate change. The Bahamas isn't just following global standards. We're positioning ourselves to exceed them. Deputy Speaker, good policy requires good law. That's why this national energy policy rests on a completely modernized legal foundation. The Electricity Act 2024 and the Natural Gas Act 2024, both enacted in 24, provide the statutory framework that makes transformation possible. These aren't minor updates. They represent fundamental restructuring of how we regulate, license, and oversee energy in the Bahamas. The Electricity Act establishes clear objectives: safe, reliable, least cost electricity supply. It creates the framework for competition in generation while maintaining regulated transmission and distribution. It empowers ERCA as the independent regulator with clear mandate and enforcement powers. The Natural Gas Act does the same for our emerging LNG sector, establishing licensing requirements, safety standards, and regulatory oversight for importation, storage, transport, and retail of natural gas. Together, these acts create what we call unbundling, separating generation from transmission and distribution. This isn't just regulatory jargon. It's the proven model used in successful energy markets worldwide. And here's why it matters. When the same entity generates power and manages the grid, there is inherent conflict. Grid management decisions can favor the entity's own generation assets rather than optimizing for system efficiency and consumer benefit. Unbundling solves this. Generation becomes competitive while multiple producers can enter the market. The grid is managed by entities whose sole focus is reliability and efficiency, ensuring the system operates in the best interest of all users. This structure attracts investments, drives innovation, and protects consumers through independent regulation. It's the architecture that makes our renewable energy targets achievable and our cost reduction goals realistic. Energy isn't just about keeping the lights on. It touches every aspect of national development. That's why this policy establishes objectives that connect energy transformation to our broader national priorities. For economic competitiveness, we're promoting demand-side management and energy efficiency. The principle is straightforward. When businesses and households use energy more intelligently, everyone benefits. Shifting consumption to off-peak hours reduces strain on the grid. Upgrading to efficient appliances lowers bills for consumers. Improving building design reduces the need for expensive new generation capacity. The policy incentivizes these smart practices, that concrete mechanisms, time-of-use tariffs that reward off-peak consumption, energy audit programs that identify saving opportunities, and efficiency standards for buildings and appliances. Together, these measures will save millions of dollars annually while reducing our carbon footprint. For tourism, our economic lifeblood, the policy promotes renewable energy adoption in resorts and cruise ports, green certification programs, and climate-resilient infrastructure. A sustainable tourism sector isn't just environmentally responsible. It's what global travelers increasingly demand. For agriculture and fisheries, the policy supports solar-powered irrigation, energy-efficient cold storage, and renewable energy access for farming and fishing communities. Lower energy costs mean more competitive local food production and stronger food security. For education, the policy encourages the integration of energy studies into STEM curricula, establishing renewable energy training programs at BTVI and the University of the Bahamas, and creating pathways for Bahamians to build careers in this growing sector. And critically, for the environment, we're committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, protecting marine and coastal ecosystems, and meeting our Paris Agreement obligations. By 2030, 30% of our electricity sector will come from renewable sources. That's not aspiration, that's commitment backed by investment and implementation timeline. Deputy Speaker, the policy doesn't just reform existing sectors. It establishes an entirely new one. With the Natural Gas Act, the policy establishes strategic direction. Our objectives are clear and ambitious. First, develop competitive markets through transparent licenses. We're not creating a monopoly. We're building a sector where multiple companies can compete to import, store, transport, and retail natural gases. Competition drives innovation, efficiency, and fair pricing. ERCA will license qualified operators under clear, non-discriminatory terms that encourage investment while protecting public safety and consumer interests. Second, build local capacity through training and partnerships. Right now, most natural gas expertise is foreign. That's understandable. It's a new sector for us, but it won't stay that way. We're requiring operators to partner with Bahamian companies, hire Bahamian workers, and invest in training programs. We're working with educational institutions to develop natural gas curricula. Within 5 years, Bahamians will be operating LNG terminals, managing distribution networks, and providing technical services throughout the value chain. Third, ensure rigorous health, safety, and environmental compliance. Natural gas is cleaner than oil, but it's not without risk. This policy commits us to world-class safety standards, comprehensive environmental protections, and robust emergency response capabilities. ERCA has already issued 7 sets of regulations covering everything from pipeline safety to waterfront facilities to transfer operations. We're getting this right from the beginning. Yes. Fourth, creating linkages to other economic sectors. Natural gas isn't just for electricity generation. It can fuel industrial processes, power transportation, support agriculture through greenhouse heating and refrigeration, and enable new manufacturing opportunities. As we build natural gas infrastructure, We're opening doors for economic diversification that goes far beyond the energy sector itself. The natural gas sector represents something rare, a genuine opportunity to build a major new industry from scratch, learning from global best practices while creating opportunities for Bahamian participation at every level. This policy ensures we seize the opportunity that wisely. The energy policy does not and cannot exist in isolation. It must integrate transportation, fuel regulation, and emerging technological challenges. On fuel, this policy calls for consolidating regulation under a single independent regulator. Right now, fuel sector oversight is fragmented. That creates inefficiency, inconsistency, and gaps in consumer protection. Consolidation will bring transparency, accountability, and coherent standards to fuel imports, pricing, distribution, and quality. On transportation, we're addressing energy efficiency across road, marine, and air travel. For road transport, we're promoting electric vehicles through infrastructure investment and incentives, establishing fuel efficiency standards for imported vehicles, and supporting the transition to cleaner fuels like compressed natural gas. For marine transport, we're encouraging energy-efficient vessels, shore power for cruise ships, and low-sulfur fuels. For aviation, we're supporting sustainable aviation fuels and improved airport operations that reduce aircraft idling and fuel consumption. These transportation initiatives will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lower fuel import costs, and improve air quality in our communities. The policy also encourages AI adoption while ensuring human oversight of critical decisions. Cybersecurity is equally critical. As our grid becomes smarter and more connected, it also becomes more vulnerable to cyber attacks. A successful attack on energy infrastructure could cause catastrophic economic damage and threaten national security. The policy commits us to robust cybersecurity protocols, mandatory incident reporting, and continuous monitoring of threats. By integrating energy policy with these cross-cutting issues, we're ensuring that our energy transformation supports rather than conflicts with other national priorities, and that we're prepared for the challenges and opportunities that emerging technologies will bring. Deputy Speaker, I would like to express my gratitude to those who made the Bahamas National Energy Policy 2025-2030 a reality. Special thanks goes to my permanent secretary, Ms. Danella Bodie, Director of Energy, Mr. Gillis Steele, Deputy Directors Ferron Davil and Ms. Nandi Maynard, the IRCA team, and Mr. Jonathan Hudson, Mr. Avram Thompson, Mr. Donovan Dorset, Ms. Evernique Moss, Mr. Jerome Elliott, Mr. Juan McCartney, and Mr. LeVar Gardner. Their dedication to drafting, consulting, and researching ensured the policy's completeness and strength. Deputy Speaker, as I conclude, I want to return where I begin. The Bahamian families and businesses whose lives will be transformed by this policy. The National Energy Policy 2025 is our commitment to them, a commitment that their electric bills will become affordable, that outages will become rare, that clean energy will power their homes and businesses, that good energy jobs will be available for their children, that our islands will be more resilient when storms strike, yes, and that the Bahamas will lead the Caribbean in energy innovation and sustainability. This is nation-building work. It requires vision, investment, persistence, and partnership. But the payoff for this generation and generations to come will be transformational. I'm proud to table this national energy policy today, and I'm confident that we look back a decade from now, we'll recognize this moment as the turning point when the Bahamas finally got energy right.
That's right.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. May God bless the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Order that communications be brought up. Order that the communications to lie on the table. Further communications by ministers? Thank you, Honorable Member. Communications by the clerk?
Mr. Deputy, I beg leave to report delivery of messages numbers 53 and 54 to the Honorable the Senate.
Messages from the Governor General. We have a message from the Senate. I hereby table message number 37 from the Honorable Senate. Motions for leave of absence, leave to resign seat, and new writs. Presentations of petitions. Presentations of reports of committees. Adoption of reports of committees. First reading of bills.
No first reading of bills.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Second reading and committal of bills.
No second readings.
Committee of the Whole. Third reading and passing of bills.
No third readings, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Consideration of Senate amendments. Resolutions. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I rise to open the debate on resolutions on the agenda, number 26, 27, 28, and those resolutions, Deputy Speaker, relates to the transformation of our energy sector and the principal one would be these resolutions seek to authorize the government to guarantee various loans and I'll just read in the record. Resolution 26 speaks to this House approving the government guaranteeing the issuance of the performance letter of credit by Banco Santana in the amount of $30 million in the currency of the United States of America on behalf of Bahamas LNG Partner Limited as required under the LNG SPA upon such terms and conditions as may be approved by the government. The resolution number 27 speaks to this House approving the government guaranteeing Bahamas LNG Partner Limited obligations under the LNG SPA to facilitate the issuance of the revolving line of credit offered by Banco Santana in the amount of $99,999,999 upon such terms and conditions as may be approved. And the final resolution, as a compendium that relates to the same energy transformation, is the request of this House to approve the government guaranteeing the issuance of another performance letter of credit by Banco Santana in the amount of $30 million in the currency of the United States as required by the TDUA upon such terms and conditions as may be approved. Mr. Deputy Speaker, energy has always shaped the daily lives and the life of this nation. People choose to sit in the summer heat rather than risk the costs associated with running their air conditioner all day. Businesses struggle to stay afloat as they pay high electricity bills. And as we saw earlier this week, our power grid is still very susceptible to severe weather events. Long before energy policy became the subject of debate in this honorable House, it was discussed in every community across our archipelago. As lights stayed off for hours during the hottest months of the year, anxiety built at the end of each month as households and businesses braced for their electricity bills. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is our energy reality. For far too long, the energy system in the Bahamas carried burdens that were managed rather than resolved. We used Band-Aids, stopgaps, and temporary fixes when we should have been aiming higher for permanent, transformational changes to the status quo. The high bills and frequent outages we experienced for decades were the output symptoms of deep structural weaknesses that worsened over many years. As our population grew, as our economy diversified, and as climate pressures intensified, our generators and power grids struggled to keep pace. Addressing those challenges required more than adjustments at the margins. It required a fundamental rethinking of how energy is planned, financed, generated, and delivered across this archipelago. When my administration came into office, we soon realized that energy reform could not be deferred, nor could it be approached incrementally. The scale of the challenge demanded a rapid and comprehensive response. In 2021, as we began to assess the situation, it became clear that if we didn't take action soon, we would eventually face a catastrophic power outage, the likes of which had never been seen before, and we would be hard-pressed to recover from. In New Providence, major generation assets were aging rapidly, with maintenance challenges and declining efficiency affecting reliability. Across the Family Islands, a significant portion of generation equipment was approaching or had exceeded its intended lifespan, placing entire communities at risk of prolonged outages. Some of the machinery was so old that parts are no longer in production. So when they inevitably break, as all machines eventually do, we will be faced with an irreparable situation. Meanwhile, our grid wasn't faring any better. Transmission and distribution infrastructure, much of it decades old, lacked the resilience required to withstand rising demand, higher ambient temperatures, and increasingly severe weather events. Fuel costs were heavily exposed to global markets, leaving households and businesses vulnerable to sudden price spikes with few effective mechanisms in place to smooth volatility. Of course, the solution intended to address these fluctuations was poorly executed by the previous administration. I'll talk more about that later. Rental generation, intended as a temporary emergency measure, had become a routine feature of the system, diverting tens of millions of dollars each year toward short-term fixes instead of permanent solutions. These costs were ultimately borne by consumers and by the public purse. Tens of millions to rent generators. That's like if your car breaks down and you rent a car so you can still have transportation. That's okay if you are maybe renting for a few days or a few weeks. But imagine driving that rental car for years and years. Eventually, the cost of renting that vehicle will be so high that you could have bought multiple vehicles for the same amount. That is the predicament our energy sector is in today.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Marco City, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, my recollection, and I will go through carefully to pull the relevant documents, but my recollection is, Mr. Deputy, that the Prime Minister is seeking to mislead the public in that while under our administration, there was rental generators employed in the total mix to provide power to the Bahamian people. Those figures have gone up under his administration in terms of what they are paying for rental generation. And I get the sense that he's making the point that they're working on a permanent fix, which is understandable. However, what he should also accept is that he's already been in office for 4 years. So his car example about imagine continuing to pay for this temporary fix for years and years. Well, he's been in for several years and he has continued to have rental generation, and those figures have gone up. So I'd like the Prime Minister to really clarify, have the figures gone up in terms of the amount that you pay on rental generation over the last 4 years? I'd just be interested in hearing that.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Elizabeth.
Deputy Speaker, I just wanted to clarify that in actuality, we just got a report from BPL that we have decreased our rentals by 3 of the rental contracts which we met in place. Decreased. Decreased is not question time, speaking to Deputy Speaker. And also, Deputy Speaker, I want to clarify that in actuality, if you pay no attention to a car for many, many, many years, you may be in a position where you have to rent for a long period until you could bring your car back to good repair and utilize it and not have to take the burden of the rental costs anymore. So what you saw happening at our plants in New Providence and also in the Family Islands with no actual focus and attention on a real energy reform plan, no focus on attention on real maintenance, no focus and attention on N-2, that is the backup plan for a plant in the event you had a load issue or a loss issue on one of your generators, that other 2 generators were able to back up until you brought that larger engine back into service. And so because nothing was done, no plans, no focus, just buy, Station A, Watsilla, all of that. Because it wasn't done, you have to maintain power supply to the Bahamian public while also fixing the challenges what we face in a short period of time.
Thank you, honourable member. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Marco City.
Mr. Deputy, I'm grateful to the member for Elizabeth for confirming the point that I made, Mr. Deputy. And the point that I made in the point of order was the Prime Minister failed to acknowledge that, 1, the cost of rental generation, the amount of megawatts that they rented, increased on their watch over the last 3+ years. So what the member, may I complete the statement, please? Mr. Deputy.
Honorable member, let me just let her.
Sorry, I'm not.
Was there a question to her?
No question.
Okay.
It's no question. Allow me to complete
Honorable
in the
member,
same way I was
we'll
respectful.
allow him to complete.
Thank you very much. So the question, the point that I made was that our recollection, our Prime Minister, our recollection of the amount our recollection of the amount that we paid on the megawatts that we needed to service the Bahamian public, that the amount you paid for the first portion of your administration, more than 3 years, you increased the amount of megawatt that you hired, and you paid more money. So it is unfair to give the public the impression that you have come in, and one of the things you have done almost immediately is you have reduced the rental generation. You have not. I would like to hear when was the report that was cited by the minister? What is the date on that report, and for what period does it cover? Again, the figures suggest that you paid more money for more rental generation from a particular supplier. And again, you are misleading the public if you don't clarify that you have done the same thing for several years. And that's no different than the former administration.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth.
I just wanted to clarify that when you have an increase in demand, when you have a growing economy, when you have done so much in the country to improve investment, to improve households, so much construction going on, to improve businesses, so much businesses open, your demand increase, right? First of all, your demand increased, and you are supposed to be a responsible government. When you were an irresponsible caretaker, the responsible government have to improve and increase their demand for a growing economy while also fixing the irresponsibility of the former caretaker. And so there was irresponsibility and there was negligence, and they ignored, but it was because there was no growth under them. So because there was no growth under that administration, they didn't know they had to prepare for demand growth.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Ronki, and San Salvador.
Simple. 101 economics.
You know, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker. I know that the leader of the opposition is very anxious about a number of things. And his anxiety very often, inspires him to interrupt and attempt to demonstrate that he has a grasp of all the facts. But I'm happy that he introduced this discourse on the basis of his recollection. He didn't say, this is what we recall, this is what I recall. But, sometimes, as a responsible legislator, you should check your recall before speaking.
Yes.
Mine is better than yours.
I'm not going to challenge that. I'm not going to challenge whether your recall is better than mine. I'm in no contest with your recollection and mine. But all I want, your recollection is, well, the answer is no. We have not rented more.
No. Megawatts were hired by you.
No. Well, first of all, you see, first of all, what we are doing, this is the first ever comprehensive, reform of our energy sector. First ever, right? Now, that's the point, right? And as we are going through this, we are doing this whilst we are still, as the member for Elizabeth pointed out, growing this economy. which increases the demand on on an already overburdened system. I commenced my contribution by pointing out some of the challenges we met. All of the challenges we met. Right? And the challenge just didn't happen when you were there in the cabinet, in the last administration. I never said it was the last administration's fault for where we are. I never said it was the last administration is to be faulted for renting. I did not say that. Man, stop, man. If I was outside, I'd be cussing you. You're making stuff. You're being stupid, man. I never said it. I never said it. The facade is there. What I'm saying, man, I never.
All right, the chair recognizes the honourable member for Marco City.
See, Mr. Deputy, first, before I make the comment, Mr. Deputy, I would ask that you have the member withdraw the unparliamentary statements, or I'd be more than happy to return. So I'll do that first, and then secondly, I want to put on the public record. The member of Parliament for Kid Island said the previous administration. That's what he said in that segment of his speech, and you can find it. He said by the previous administration. That's a direct quote from his own statement. Now, I believe. Go ahead. Will you withdraw the statement that you made? Will you withdraw the statement you made about stupid? Would you withdraw that? Will you withdraw the statement? I just want to know. Will you withdraw the reference you made just now?
Honourable member for Marco City and Cat Island, can you address the chair and not each other?
No, please. No, man. What? Ask me. Tell me what you want me to withdraw, man. No, I just make mistakes too, You said the standard here. Right? And I ain't too big to say sorry. I ain't too big to say, what did I say that offend you? No, just tell me. Now, because of how you were carrying on just now, you yuck up the old bite vexation. I can tell you that. You yuck that well, right? Now, so what do you want me to withdraw? Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Yes, sir.
The member for Marco City is obviously offended by something that I may have said. All right, now, I would have said it in the heat when he touched the old bike cord. And I am not too big to withdraw anything that I ever said that would have offended him. I just don't remember what it is, and I don't know what he want me to withdraw. So if he's so offended, at least he could tell me what it is, so I could do it, and I'm willing to do it. Please, Marco City.
I'm fine.
Oh, you don't want me to withdraw? Okay. So everything is still on record. All right. So when we spoke about, I'm not, as I said, Madam, Ms. Deputy Speaker, the state, and I started off by stating the state of our energy sector. I spoke about the outdated generations, that the infrastructure, most of it was end of life. And it didn't just happen to be end of life now. This is a progressive thing. And I also said, and successive governments paid no attention to it. I talk about the Band-Aids and the stopgap measures and the temporary fixes. And I also said, no, this is what I'm saying, if you want to know exactly what I'm saying, that this is the first government that's going to fix that problem, and fix it permanently. We are finding a permanent solution, and we have found a permanent solution. What I'm saying is no one else ever did. No one else ever did. We're taking the bull by horn. We're not shaking from it. We're not band-aiding it. Right? We're doing what is necessary. And the analogy of the rental car It's so the Bahamian people understand the play that we're in with our energy supply system as it stands. Right? And we are eliminating the rentals. And the member for Marco City, Elizabeth, will speak more to that, as to how and what we have done, and speak to that report that we sought about. So, and that is the predicament of our energy sector. And we have to put a stop to it, and we are putting a stop to that. And the accumulated result of all these issues, Mr. Deputy Speaker, was an energy system that struggled to deliver reliable energy, even when they were operating normally. Bahamians experienced outages that disrupted daily life, damaged equipment, and undermined confidence in essential services. Businesses faced uncertainty that constrained investment and growth. These were not isolated failures, nor were they the product of any single decision. They were the consequences of a system that had outgrown its original design and had not been restructured to meet modern demands. We are doing that now, Madam Speaker. And I'm telling this story because any serious effort at reform requires honesty about the past. For example, now I talk about the previous administration, a fuel hedging strategy was executed based on the use of heavy fuel oil. In principle, hedging can be a responsible financial tool when it is aligned with operational capacity and infrastructure readiness. And I repeat that. It could be a responsible tool when it is aligned with operational capacity and infrastructure readiness. We have no issue with hedging when done correctly. It is essentially a way to lock in fuel prices to manage volatility, not to gamble on the market. Prices rise and fall, but hedging helps smooth those savings and provide more predictable costs over time. It is a viable solution, as I said, when done correctly. But the FNM did not do it correctly.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, the Prime Minister is intentionally misleading the public. We asked the Prime Minister if he believes he is accurate to just simply lay the figures that showed that the strategy used by the FNM was wrong. In fact, he was, in fact, Mr. Deputy, during this sitting, we'll also lay a document that showed that there was a savings under the hedge program under the Free National Movement during the first years that it was implemented, and the government then again canceled that program, even though the member for Rumkey, Cat Islands, and Salvador actually denied he had seen the details. The details he was provided with and the details that the member for Fort Charlotte was provided with showed that there was, I believe, a $20 million saving on the front end, and there was a projected, in totality, some $50 million. I will be able to lay that projected report. So two things on the point of order. One, there was a savings. I'm on my feet.
Yeah, members. Order.
Can I complete my statements? So first of all, there was a savings that was documented. And then the second was, I'm on my feet.
All
of us are equal members. I'm on my feet.
Members, let him finish. Honorable member for Marco City. Your 2 points. Your 2 points.
So again, there was a savings, a concrete savings that the member for Cat Island was aware of, and the member for Fort Charlotte, both of whom denied and later had to admit they did see the documents and they canceled the program. And so one is attempting to mislead the public that the hedge did not, in fact, have a benefit, and it did have a benefit. If it failed, they should lay the document and let us examine it. Lay the documents. I can lay a document, ask them to lay theirs.
Thank you.
Lay it.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I said it was done incorrectly. Right? He'll have the opportunity to speak to how he believes it was done correctly. And let me say why I say it was not done correctly. At the time they did the hedging, some of the Wärtsilä engines that were supposed to utilize heavy fuel oil were offline. So that's the first point, right? So first problem. If your hedge is on heavy duty oil and the engines that would use them can't utilize it, then what is the benefit? Those were the engines that were going to use the heavy fuel oil. If you can't use the fuel, then the savings you would have gotten from using that fuel, you don't get anymore. Furthermore, those engines were promoted as tri-fuel when in fact it was not. Further limiting their capacity.
Wow.
Right? Again, that's where they were misleading the nation. They were saying that was tri-fuel when it wasn't. As a result, even when market conditions moved favorably, Bahamians saw a limited benefit because the system was incapable of converting those favorable prices into lower costs.
That's right.
The hedge existed on paper. The hedge existed on paper, but the engines required to realize its values were not in service. That experience underscored a critical lesson for this administration. The experience underscored a critical lesson. We learned from your mistakes. Financial instruments, Mr. Deputy Speaker, financial instruments such as a hedge cannot compensate for broken or unavailable infrastructure. Savings projected in spreadsheets do not necessarily translate into relief for households unless the system itself is capable of performing. Bring your spreadsheets. Any credible reform has to begin with restoring operational capacity before layering on sophisticated financial strategies. That's what you have to do, restore the operational capacity. If you don't do it this way, you end up like the F&M, bragging about savings that only exist in promises and plans, but never plans and what I call spreadsheets, but never materialize in electricity bills. Madam Speaker, the country will realize they keep asking $100 million the government had to give to BPL when we came in. And they want to know how that happened. It ain't in accordance with the law, it ain't in accordance with this. Well, that $100 million that had to be paid was because of their mismanagement and what they were doing. BPL was about to be closed down, right? So this country, Madam Speaker, yes, we loaned it to them.
The chair recognized the honorable member for
why they needed a loan.
Marco City.
The member of parliament for Cat Island did in fact break the law, had to come back and acknowledge that he made a loan. He made a loan, and there are prescribed protocols on how you go about, as a government, providing funds to a state-owned enterprise. So for him to come back in the midst of this chorus of cheerers who don't know the facts or don't care about the facts, he is trying to convince the public that he did nothing wrong, and he did something wrong and sought to come back and correct it. He made a loan and did not follow the law in making the loan to BPL. That's what he did. That's what he did.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I know what I did. I made sure that BPL could operate and that it would not have collapsed. And I made sure that the Bahamian people could be provided with reliable services. This country, Madam Speaker,
The Prime Minister has not spoken to. Did he follow the law in doing that? What he's saying is the end justify the means. Many people are running some drugs from Colombia to the U.S. to feed their family. Is that justifying why they what they do? The end does not always justify the means. The end does not always justify the means. Is he saying that he was justified in breaking the law?
Yeah.
Is he saying he was justified? He broke the law.
Honorable member. Yeah, members. I know this is a very contentious topic, but let's be respectful of the time and let's be respectful of the contributors, please. And that's.
Right? It's bad for them. And any effort they'll make to try to stop the message from going out, right? But the message will get there. And you see, the thing about this is, what we are doing is being felt by Bahamian people. And so what they say don't matter to us. It matters what the Bahamian people are feeling this when they get their light bills at the end of the month. They know it's less. It is less today than it used to be. Yes. And the true quote, and it is going to be going lower. Yes. And that's their problem. They vexed because they didn't do it, couldn't do it. Right? And we break no law. The reason why BPL needed a loan for $100 million, and we did it. It was done. We did it without. We did it. Right? And we did it because they need it. And why they need it, let them speak to it. If you don't do this way, man, I'll take
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
Mr. Deputy, the member for Kent Island, Mr. Deputy, the member for Kent Island said, Mr. Deputy,
is this a point of order?
It is a point of order. It is a point of order. Mr. Let me go back. I'll read a letter from the Prime Minister.
No, honorable member, I just members.
Mr. Deputy.
Yeah.
I want to say this.
Member, I need.
May I complete?
Yeah,
I'm not
order on both sides. On both sides. Yes. If you're standing on a point of order, I need to know what he said wrong. You can just point it out and then take a seat, Marco City. Yeah.
What I said.
No, members. I am going to listen to see if this is a point of order.
Thank you very much. The point of order is I asserted that the Prime Minister. May I come?
No. Members, just.
He misled.
Oh,
this is not the letter.
Okay.
This is not the letter.
All right, so that's why I'm asking the honorable member for Marco City. Is this a point of order?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What is the?
Mr. Deputy. This is not the letter.
No,
it's not the letter. Relax.
Member.
Calm down. Calm down.
Member.
Yes. So
point
again,
of order.
Mr. Deputy, the
chair recognizes Marco City. Marco City is on the floor. Marco City, can you just state the point of order? Yes.
I asserted that the Prime Minister misled the public with respect to rental generation. I want to read the figures into the record.
No,
when the
hold on, members.
It's a point of order.
Members.
I am verifying that he was wrong about what he said. Wrong.
Okay.
That is a point of order.
Right.
And I'm reading the figures.
Okay, now, I understand.
I'm providing the evidence for the point of order.
Yes, Marco.
Sit
members.
Sit down. When the FNM left office in September of 2021, there was 40 megawatts.
Honorable member for Marco City, yes.
There was 40 megawatts
I understand.
of rental generation from Agreco.
Members. Yeah. No,
you don't move past. You could have moved past. I didn't move past.
Honorable members. Yeah. Honorable members on both sides. Like I said, This is a very contentious topic, but we need to be respectful of the rules of the House of Assembly. And if you want to stand on a point of order, make a point of order. I don't need to read the paragraph. No, I just make a point and sit down, because I don't want to, because you can read the paragraph and go on. And I understand. No, I understand. Yeah. I understand that, but I don't want your point of order to turn into, or nobody's point of order to turn into more than 20, 30 seconds to read, because we all have, yeah, I know, but everybody in here will have a time to make their contribution. So, Honorable Member for Marco City, you said you're standing on a point of order. Yes, Mr. Deputy.
Mr. Deputy, when the F&M left office in 2021, there was 40 megawatts of rental, Agreco, and 16 megawatt of Bahamas Utilities, a total in terms of rental of 56 megawatt under the F&M. Now, as of December 25th, there was 40 megawatts of Agreco. At Blue Hills, 106 megawatts from Bahamas Utilities at Clifton Pier. They also sent 46 megawatt from Bahamas Utilities, Blue Hill, for a total of 192 megawatts of generation under the PLP. 192 versus 56 under the F&M. So there was a massive increase.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
A massive increase.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Elizabeth.
To clarify, this is why I tried to warn the member from Marco City not to go down a road he does not understand, and allowing people
members,
to use him politically.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Elizabeth. Elizabeth has the floor. All members sit down.
This is why I warned him, Deputy Speaker, because a part of our energy transformation was to remove rentals. And a part of us removing rentals was we put some of them under a PPA structure, a power purchase agreement. See, let me explain rental. Rental is, I ask you if you have an engine that I could use, because I don't have one. No. Right? Yes. You bring your engine to my property. Yes. I pay you whatever you charge me monthly, weekly, or however for me to use that engine. But I must fill that engine with fuel. Right. I must help to maintain and keep that engine. I am renting. All you're doing is putting it on my property. I have to find the fuel, and I have to help run it. I have to make sure it runs. I'm renting it under a power purchase agreement. It's not a rental structure. No. First of all, you got to make sure your power is being produced for me to utilize for my consumers. Yes. I'm not paying you to rent your engines whether I have the fuel for it or not. That's right. Right? Mm-hmm. I am paying for the capacity which aligns with consumption. That is not an increase in rentals. That is a decrease in rental. That is a transfer under a PPA, which is far less the cost that we was burdened with under rentals.
Stay in your lane. That's right.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, you have to take control of these stations.
Honorable Member for St. Anne's, you can speak right after the.
Mr. Deputy
the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
You have to take control of your proceedings. Right? It comes a time when points of order just become disruptive. Exactly. And you are, yes, I am.
Members,
yes,
members.
I am. Right? Yes, I am.
Order, members.
Yes, I am.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
And you must allow members to present.
No, but you can't present untruths. You can't present untruths. That's the issue.
You are the poster boy. You are the poster boy of untruths. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this country Man, listen.
You made a career out of that. I'm prepared to say it on my feet, as you said.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to say it on my feet.
Yes, you could. At least I had a career.
You made a career.
I had a career. I had a career. This country, Deputy Speaker, needed more than just a hedge. We needed a new energy era of transformative change. This administration acted on the lessons of the past. So today, 6 of the 7 Wasilla engines are now online when they were offline, with 1 undergoing scheduled servicing, restoring the system's ability to support modern fuel. Now, our operational readiness matches our financial design, creating the conditions necessary for reforms to deliver real benefits to consumers. Madam Speaker, confronted with these realities, we made a deliberate decision to move away from short-term fixes and toward comprehensive structural reform. Managing decline through rentals and emergency interventions was not a viable strategy for a growing economy. Passing unresolved risks forward to future administrations and future generations was neither responsible nor acceptable. Instead, we committed to rebuilding the energy sector on a foundation of modern governance, clear policy direction, and disciplined execution. That commitment is reflected in the passage of a new Electricity Act, the introduction of a Natural Gas Act, and the development of the first comprehensive national energy policy to guide the sector in this country, which was laid today. These measures were not adopted in isolation. They were sequenced deliberately, beginning with the law and policy, followed by carefully structured investments. This approach ensures that every project proceeds within a stable regulatory framework with defined responsibilities, transparency, and accountability. Energy reform of this scale cannot succeed without coherence across government, which is why this effort has been driven from the center of my administration, with sustained cabinet oversight, leadership by the ministry, and active engagement with regulators and stakeholders. This new energy era is not defined by a single project or a single fuel choice. It is an integrated strategy designed to strengthen the entire energy value chain while reducing vulnerability to external shocks. Liquefied natural gas, LNG, is being introduced as a stabilizing fuel to reduce exposure to oil price volatility, and improve cost predictability. It is not a replacement for renewable energy, but a partner fuel that allows the system to transition responsibly while maintaining reliability. Utility-scale solar is being deployed to harness our natural advantages, lower long-term generation costs, and reduce dependence on imported fuels. Battery storage and modern grid management technologies are also being integrated to support these changes. Across New Providence and the Family Islands, solar and hybrid microgrids are being developed with Bahamian partners to improve reliability, reduce diesel dependence, and enhance resilience in communities that have historically borne the brunt of outages. At the same time, rental generation is being phased out, with full elimination targeted by fiscal year 2028. In 2 years, Madam Speaker, we will say goodbye to the rentals and replace them with permanent solutions, saving tens of millions of dollars each year. Each component of this strategy reinforces the others, creating a system that is more reliable, more affordable, and better equipped to meet the demands of a changing climate and economy. Mr. Deputy Speaker, structural reform requires disciplined governance, strengthening oversight at BPL, improving collections, enhancing operational controls, and aligning incentives with performance are essential to ensuring that the benefits of reform are sustained over time. This administration has focused not only on new infrastructure, but on the systems and institutions responsible for managing it. Consumer protection also remains a central priority. Regulatory mechanisms such as the equity rate adjustment have been used to deliver targeted relief to those most in need. In 2025, this adjustment provided approximately $11 million in savings to consumers, with roughly 20% of residential customers paying no base rate during that year. This was the result of deliberate policy choices aimed at balancing financial sustainability with providing relief for Bahamian households. Madam Speaker, as LNG is integrated into our fuel mix, we are projecting approximately 190 megawatts of natural gas generation capacity by late 2027. At the same time, 23 microgrid and solar projects are being developed across the Family Islands, delivering close to 200 megawatts, of new generation capacity by 2027, including 97 megawatts of solar power paired with battery storage. In New Providence, foundational grid upgrades delivered a 45% reduction in outage frequency and a 35% reduction in outage during 2025 compared to historic averages, with smart grid devices preventing tens of thousands of customer interruptions. These are not projections. They are recorded outcomes that demonstrate what disciplined investment and system reform can achieve. From a financial standpoint, the transformation underway is restorative. A fuel hedging strategy executed in December 2025 now provides 365 days of protection against fuel price volatility, covering approximately 2.5 million barrels of fuel oil as the transition to LNG and new generation assets proceeds. This is what it looks like when you execute a hedge correctly and fix the foundational issues before you implement it. 5-year forecasts put Bahamas Power and Light on track, Deputy Speaker, to eliminate its debt within 6 years and close the long-standing current account imbalance between the government and the utility. The member for Elizabeth will speak to this aspect in more detail. International institutions, listen to this, because every time we speak, you all know, you don't want to listen. But you all might listen to them who say more from outside, saying more about it. International institutions have taken note of the transformation, with independent studies projecting that the energy sector reform could lift long-term economic growth while reducing fossil fuel imports and external vulnerabilities. That's what they say. Right? Fuel hedging strategies are now aligned with operational capacity, providing protection against price volatility while new generation assets come online. Grid upgrades are underway to reduce losses and reliability. And other big changes, including a big change in ownership of the Grand Bahama Power Company, are underway. This ensures that the savings can be passed on to all Bahamians. All Bahamians. That brings us to the resolution before us. These resolutions play a role in moving our transformation forward. Now that we have a solid plan in place, we must finalize the financial arrangements. With these resolutions, we are securing funding without authorizing new spending. Instead, the resolutions before us provide limited, thus action-specific guarantees required to support fuel procurement and infrastructure development within a framework of parliamentary oversight. These guarantees are kept and clearly defined. They are brought forward precisely because the government believes that transparency and accountability strengthen public trust and protect our national interests. They ensure that essential energy arrangements can function reliably while preserving the role of this House in scrutinizing commitments that carry contingent risks. In practical terms, they seek the approval of this House for the government to provide limited guarantees so that a commercial bank, that is, Banco Santana S.A., can issue a revolving line of credit and performance letters of credit on behalf of Bahamas LNG Partner Limited, a special purpose vehicle wholly owned by the government. This funding is a part of the over $1 billion in funding moving our new energy era forward. When this transformation is complete, Bahamians will live in a country where outages will be the exception rather than the rule. Electricity costs will be more predictable and more affordable. Businesses will be able to plan and invest with confidence, and families will be able to budget without fear of sudden shocks. Mr. Deputy Speaker, energy reform is foundational work. It is complex, expensive, demanding, and often invisible when done well, but it determines the success of everything that follows. I wish to thank our Minister of Energy, that's the energizer bunny. Energizing the country. Our team, the board of BPL, the Energy Committee that meets every Monday from we came into office. We were having a meeting at my office every Monday morning to discuss, 8 a.m. in the morning, to discuss the way forward to ensure that we get this right. And we are getting it. I take this opportunity to thank all of them. This new energy era is really about resilience and opportunity. It is about doing the hard work. And that's what we are doing. Now, doing it now, so that future generations inherit a stronger, more secure Bahamas. That is the vision guiding this administration. That is the work before this House. And that is why the resolutions before us have my complete and unbridled support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there a seconder? The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the people of the great constituency of Elizabeth, who can confirm that it is surely better now in Elizabeth and better to come. I thank them for their continuous support, and I look forward to further representing them, even after this year. I rise to support and second the 3 resolutions that aim to, 1, guarantee a performance letter of credit under the Terminal Development Use Agreement by Banco Santander. 2, guarantee a performance letter of credit under the Phase 1 to 3 LNG Sale and Purchase Agreement by Banco Santander. And 3, guarantee a revolving line of credit under Phase 1 to 3 LNG Sale and Purchase Agreement by Banco Santander. These resolutions are not isolated financial instruments, Deputy Speaker, but essential enablers of a comprehensive, technically sound, and internationally validated transformation of the Bahamas energy sector, commonly referred to as the new energy era. Collectively, these resolutions will secure fuel supply, stabilize energy costs, strengthen operational reliability, and reinforce macroeconomic reform. The resolutions are grounded in engineering discipline, financial prudence, and internationally accepted best practice. Deputy Speaker, for too long, our nation has faced persistent energy challenges that have undermined our economic stability and burdened our citizens. These challenges included volatile and unpredictable energy costs that strain household budgets, unreliable power generation leading to frequent outages, inefficient systems resulting in wasted resources and higher costs, and flawed previous hedging strategies that failed because our infrastructure wasn't ready. In less than a decade, BPL amassed almost $500 million in debt, with loan interest payments of more than $28 million annually and $122 million pension liability. We continue to make progress with our debt management plan. The results are largely being manifested in lower bills for consumers, improvements to equipment, and the physical plant mean that operational costs are down. Restoration time has been reduced, and burdensome rental costs have been slashed by the tune of $1.5 million annually, with more rental rollbacks soon. And I was seeking to get my rental chart here in time. They should have it, but it shows our plan, Deputy Speaker. The rental phase out plan, not projections. Our plan. And our plan shows that we've already phased out 3 rentals. 3, right? And we are seeking to phase them out as we bring on our power purchase agreements, IPPs, and generating our power, and looking to have up to $24 million per year of savings expected from closing 13 rental temporary generation units. Rental phase out enabled by repaired BPL capacity and microgrid projects in the Family Islands. BPL is evaluating the need for an additional capacity further in other islands. Deputy Speaker, historically, Bahamas Power and Light could not hedge fuel at scale responsibly. I'm going to go a little slow so it's understood. Not due to financial mismanagement, because of material technical risk across the generation fleet. The primary issue, that means it's more than one issue, but the primary issue was the boiler integrity. So heavy fuel oil must be heated to a specific viscosity for engines, for engines to utilize it effectively. And the boilers simply could not maintain this critical requirement. Additionally, unreliable ancillary systems and operational deficiencies at Station A, including coolant system failures that reduced output, meant that engines could not consistently operate on the intended lower cost heavy fuel oil.
Now we understand.
As a result, the plant was frequently forced to burn higher volumes of more expensive automotive diesel oil, ADO. So you hedge HFO, but you're burning ADO. So when you hedge, you're giving them a formula by which your plant will operate. So if I really break it down, you hedge and tell them, my plant will operate the majority HFO. So I want to hedge and block out the price point for this type of fuel.
I see.
Right? And
This is viscous.
and when you
Come on, man.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
The point of order is, again, the member for Elizabeth is doing something similar to the Prime Minister in seeking to mislead the public about the hedge when executed under us and the hedge executed under them. So I want to read as evidence of them misleading the public. Read into the record.
Member. Yeah. Order, members.
Just
order, honorable member for Marco City. I will give you an extra 2 minutes when you do your contribution.
Mr.
No, but
Deputy,
I
I'm not
understand.
reading this document. I'm reading a line from the document, sir. Just a line from the
Just
document.
a line from the document.
Yes,
The
thank
chair
you.
recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
So, Mr. Deputy, the document is this. It's a a letter written to the member, Alfred Sayers, from board members. He has all of this information, meaning the Prime Minister has all of this information, and the member for Elizabeth has it. The line, Mr. Deputy. As can be seen in Table 1 below, up through September 2021, BPL and its customers have benefited by a reduced 30 million fuel costs over the past 13 months.
Can you wrap it up, honorable member?
It is estimated
we have
that by
order,
Mr. Deputy.
members. Okay.
I'm reading
Honorable member, honorable member for Marco City. I must agree with Elizabeth. Members. Let me finish.
So the evidence is clear that they have the documents. $30 million was saved. Million was saved due to the hedge program. And all their shouting and ranting doesn't change that fact. Doesn't change that fact.
Honorable member for Marco City. Okay. Yeah. Honorable members on both sides. Listen to me. On both sides. We're going to let the member for Elizabeth finish her contribution, and that's it. If you have anything else to stand up on a point of order, I will recognize you after the minister have finished her contribution. Honorable member for Elizabeth, I made my ruling. That's it. Let's move on. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth.
You don't comply with no rule. You don't comply with no rule.
Honorable members. I have made my ruling. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth. That's it. All members take your seat right now, or you will be removed from the chambers. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth. Please take your seat on both sides. Angleton and Marco City. Yeah.
Throw them out. Let's finish this and get this.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth.
Let's lose the man. Watch it. All out. Let's finish this. Out of order.
So, Deputy Speaker, I go back to the point I was raising. I go back to breaking down. You can say whatever your projected report or whatever you assume. I am speaking on the state of the plant. I am not speaking on what you assume to be a savings. I am speaking on the state of the plant.
Members.
I am speaking on the state of
Honorable
the plant.
members, we're going to take a break for 2 minutes. We're going to take a break because I think everybody needs to cool. Level heads. We're going to take a break for 2 minutes. We're going to suspend for 2 minutes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Honorable members, I was listening by radio. Boy, you all sound terrible, eh? Well, let me say this to you. As I said in my chambers, there are 21 speakers today. Everybody want to get up and say something, and I am here to listen. But what Madam Speaker will not allow today is these very long, drawn-out points of orders. Because remember now, state your infringement and allow the member that you say is doing the infringing to represent what they would have said. That's how we run in the show today. It's a long day, plenty speakers. This the season when everybody wants to say something, and I will allow it. Right, Mr. Forbes? Yes. And so everybody gets a half an hour, so you can imagine what our day looks like, especially mine. So, with all that being said, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm glad you are here. And because I was interrupted, I want to start back, Madam Speaker, by where I was and what I meant as the Minister of Energy. I don't want no report, no letter, nothing. What I meant as the Minister of Energy, right? As the condition, the state of the plant. That's what I'm speaking to. Because if you understand what hedging, what you do when you hedge, it's a gamble. Risk reward. You mitigate enough risk, you benefit from a lot of reward, right? So I'm talking about what I meant as the minister. Madam Speaker, historically, Bahamas Power and Light could not hedge fuel at scale responsibly, not due to financial mismanagement, but because of material technical risk across the generation fleet. The primary issue was boiler integrity. Heavy fuel oil must be heated to a specific viscosity for engines to utilize it effectively. And the boilers simply could not maintain this critical requirement. So if I can explain and break that down, when you are hedging, if you hedge HFO, if you tell them, I'm going to use high hedge, I'm going to use the majority of HFO on my plant, you have to be able to use the majority of HFO because that's what you're hedging.
Yes.
You hedge a particular fuel. That's what you're hedging. So you have to use that, right? You cannot say you're going to use the majority HFO, but your equipment is in such disrepair that you have to use a more expensive fuel, which is called ADO, automotive diesel oil. It's more expensive. It skews your hedge. You can't meet your target numbers because you're utilizing more of the fuel you did not hedge with. Right?
Okay, I understand.
Additionally, unreliable ancillary systems and operational deficiencies at Station A, including coolant system failures that reduced output, meant that engines could not consistently operate on the intended lower cost heavy fuel oil.
Makes sense.
As a result, the plant was frequently forced to burn higher volumes of more expensive automotive diesel oil.
Wow. Now we understand.
Right? Anybody say they ain't hedged with HFO? We're saying the plant was forced to use the more expensive one.
Yes.
From a hedging perspective, Madam Speaker, when the fuel mix is thrown off from what was hedged, we cannot capture the full value, if any, of the hedge, as we cannot burn the fuel type we hedged against. Compounding this problem, the previous administration artificially held the fuel rate, creating the serious issue of fuel under recovery. This is what we talk about. Now you want to talk about savings? Listen to this part. Fuel under recovery that placed an additional burden on the company and ultimately the Bahamian taxpayer, as someone had to foot the bill for the difference. Madam Speaker, this technical failure during the opposition's time in government undermined any potential hedge effectiveness and increased overall generation costs. Under these conditions, any fuel hedge would have exposed the utility to unacceptable operational and financial risk, preventing BPL from realizing real, true potential savings to the fullest capacity and requiring higher fuel costs to be passed through to consumers after rates had been temporarily held. Let me make this clearer, Madam Speaker. The opposition deliberately kept the fuel rate artificially low, which led to significant fuel under recovery. Fuel is a pass-through. It's a pass-through. So the true cost of them having to use more diesel than HFO was supposed to be passed through. But if you artificially set the rate and you're keeping it low, we still have that cost of the fuel. Doesn't move. Someone have to make up the difference. BPL's new Station A engine, see, you can't use that argument. Cannot use that argument because it still goes on the back of the Bahamian taxpayers. It's still. So it's a disingenuous. You cannot have a government that's leading and with untruths, making people believe they're saving when they're truly not. And it's still passed back to the taxpayer because we own BPL. But in order for it to operate properly, we will always have to save BPL. Always. See, BPL's new Station A engine experienced significant operational constraints, mechanical issues, including excessive building vibrations, limited operations to 5 of the 7 engines at any one time. In addition, persistent problems with auxiliary systems, cooling infrastructure, and boiler performance further constrain plant output. As a result of these mechanical and system limitations, Station A could not operate as originally modeled and could not consistently consume the planned volumes of heavy fuel oil. This forced them to rely heavily on automotive diesel oil, which is more expensive. The fuel hedge executed during this period was priced at $50 per barrel, with an additional $19 per barrel premium, for a total effective hedge price of $69 per barrel. However, the hedge assumed fuel usage levels that could not be achieved in practice due to operational constraints at Station A. Specifically, the imbalance between expected actual HFO consumption resulted in a material HFO-ADA mix distortion. The mix that they hedged with was skewed, undermining the hedge's effectiveness. Because the hedged fuel volumes could not be fully utilized as intended, the hedge costs were ultimately absorbed into the fuel charge to customers.
Oh, wow. Oh, boy.
During this period, electricity rates were artificially held below cost recovery levels, resulting in significant under recovery. This under-recovery accumulated over time and led to BPL owing approximately $110 million to fuel suppliers. Remember that $100 million bill we encountered as we took office? This was a direct result of their decision to maintain a fuel hedge rate. Even after it was evident that their hedge strategy had failed due to the poor condition of the plant. Yet they claim to be responsible, banging on the table and demanding we renew a failed hedge to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, while we also had to come up with the $100 million to cover the bill created by the artificial rate that misled people into thinking bills were lower than they actually were. In simple terms, Madam Speaker, the previous administration tried to buy insurance before fixing the engine. Boilers leaked, supporting systems were unreliable, control systems could not consistently manage the fuel. So even though prices were locked in on paper, the fuel could not be used in practice. That turned protection into exposure.
What is this?
Madam Speaker, in 2020-2021, fuel hedging failed not because hedging is inherently flawed, but because it was executed before the electricity system was technically capable of supporting it. And on commercial terms, that amplified rather than mitigated risk.
Common sense.
During that period, the hedge contracts that were executed carried a premium of $8.99 per barrel. Those contracts were entered into while the generating plants could not reliably burn the heavy fuel oil volumes being hedged due to unresolved technical constraints, including boiler instability, leakage, and compromised ancillary systems. As a result, the hedge became operationally strained. The company paid substantial premiums for price protection on fuel it could not physically consume, rendering the hedge ineffective as a risk management tool. Following that failure, a proposal was later advanced to continue hedging under revised strike structure with a $50 strike price and a $19 premium. That proposal reflected a further deterioration in hedge economics and would have more than doubled the cost of protection, despite the fact that the underlying technical issues at the plants had still not been fully resolved. To manage the immediate tariff impact of these failed and proposed structures, fuel rates were artificially suppressed. See, because when you done fail, you got to try to clean up what you do. Rather than aligned with the true cost of supply.
What y'all was doing crazy?
At the same time, hedge costs were passed through. This approach did not protect consumers. It deferred costs, distorted price signals, and weakened the company's financial position. It was not risk management, but risk deferral. In contrast, Madam Speaker, in contrast, the current approach deliberately reversed the sequence. Before executing any hedge, we systematically corrected the technical constraints that previously prevented the plants from reliably burning heavy fuel oil. Boiler integrity was restored. Leakage issues were resolved, and operational readiness was confirmed. Only then did we proceed to hedge.
Then you go to the marriage.
We executed a hedge covering 2.5 million barrels at a $65 strike price with a premium of $3.68 per barrel, materially lower than the $8.99 premium paid in 2021 and the $19 premium that was later proposed. This hedge provides real, usable protection against upside fuel price risk while preserving transparency and tariff integrity.
Of course.
This approach shields consumers from global fuel price shocks, avoids unnecessary pass-through of inflated hedge premiums, eliminates artificially suppressed rates, and aligns financial instruments with fiscal system capability. There's no illusion or no deferred liability. Rates reflect reality. Risks are disclosed and managed. And fuel cost protection is anchored in operational readiness. This is disciplined governance. Fix the plant first, hedge second, and negotiate from strength, not vulnerability. Madam Speaker, let me speak plainly about what happens if we don't fix our energy problems. When global oil prices jump, as they did when prices shot up from 70 to over 120 per barrel last year, every Bahamian felt it. Without hedging properly, and with our system forced to use expensive diesel instead of heavy fuel oil, someone must pay the difference. Either BPL absorbs these costs, which still falls on the taxpayer because the government owns BPL. That's right. Or they show up on our individual light bills. Going further, our aging power grid had 13% line losses. It was like trying to carry water in a leaky bucket. We were paying for electricity that never reached our homes or businesses. When our system couldn't meet the engineers' call N1 contingency, basically having backup when something fails, we got those rolling blackouts that disrupted our daily lives. The cost of inaction would be devastating, Madam Speaker. Without intervention, BPL would have continued accumulating millions in debt annually. Businesses would have faced increasingly unpredictable operating costs, making long-term planning impossible. Foreign investors would have looked elsewhere, taking their capital to countries with a more stable energy infrastructure. Most importantly, ordinary Bahamian families would have continued bearing the burden of this dysfunction through higher bills, more frequent outages, and a stagnant economy. The economic ripple effects would touch every aspect of daily life, from food prices to job opportunities. This wasn't just about keeping the lights on. It was about the future viability of our nation's economy and the quality of life for every Bahamian citizen. Madam Speaker, the government of the Bahamas, through the Ministry of Energy and Transport and BPL, is transforming the energy sector through targeted initiatives across the entire electricity value chain. To ensure clarity, Madam Speaker, our value chain includes fuel import, power generation, transmission and distribution, retail and customer delivery. Under fuel import, our approach is to expand access to low-cost fuels and reduce exposure to fuel price volatility. While under power generation, we will operate a diverse set of energy generation sources to enhance system reliability across the Bahamas. Through our includes renewable energy, solar, and battery energy storage. Through our public-private partnership for transmission and distribution, we're enhancing operational efficiency and investing in a resilient grid. All of this culminates in improved interaction with the Bahamian people and modernized customer service. Under the new energy era, we implemented specific technical solutions to address the root cause of previous failures. Complete boiler system overhauls to ensure proper HFO heating and consistent viscosity control. Implementation of metering systems to maintain optimal fuel temperatures. Rehabilitation of fuel handling infrastructure to prevent contamination. Modernization of coolant systems to maintain reliable engine operation. implementation of predictive maintenance protocols to prevent system failures, and training of technical staff on proper operation of the upgraded systems. These weren't superficial fixes, Madam Speaker. They were fundamental engineering solutions to long-standing technical deficiencies that had plagued our energy infrastructure for decades. Madam Speaker, in addition to addressing fuel risks and cost volatility, we also focused other key fiscal measures. Revenue protection and collections discipline are being restored. Long-standing weaknesses in billing accuracy, delinquent balances, and enforcement have been identified and corrected. Processes have been reviewed, targeted, improved, implemented, and accountability re-established. The results is improved cash flow, reduced write-offs, and a stronger link between electricity delivered and revenue collected. Madam Speaker, I can need a little bit more time, please.
Taking up all my time today.
Procurement and working
It's an important bill, and I need the Bahamian people to understand.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Procurement and working, I'm halfway through, by the way.
Keep on going.
Procurement and working capital inefficiencies are being corrected. Madam Speaker, vendor contracts are being reviewed, supplier bases rationalized, and non-moving inventory, some untouched for years, is now being audited and addressed. This reduces tied-up capital, improves liquidity, and restores financial control over one of the utility's most material cost centers. Temporary generation rentals are being phased out in a structured and responsible manner. As repaired capacity, microgrids, and permanent solutions come online, particularly in the Family Islands, expensive short-term rentals are being retired.
Yes.
This delivers recurrent savings while maintaining system reliability and avoiding supply shocks. Technical efficiency is improving, Madam Speaker. Investments in metering upgrades, reduction of fuel and power losses, and the implementation of automatic generation controls are improving heat rates and reducing wastage, and ensuring that fuel paid for is fuel converted into electricity delivered. Yes. This is where operational reform translates directly into financial savings. Madam Speaker, this approach has received clear international validation. Moody's Investors Service upgraded the Bahamas' credit outlook from stable to positive, the first such improvement in nearly 20 years. Energy sector reform was cited explicitly as a key driver. That tells international markets that energy reform is credible, financial risk is declining, and long-term obligations are becoming sustainable. Yes. The International Monetary Fund has further confirmed that electricity reform is projected to increase our real GDP growth by approximately 0.5% by 2035, reduce fossil fuel imports, and narrow the national current account deficit. Importantly, the IMS have confirmed that Bahamas Power and Light is on track to repay all outstanding debt within 6 years, while eliminated the historic $476 million imbalance between the government of the Bahamas and BPL.
Yes.
That is not aspirational policy, Madam Speaker. That is structural correction.
By the Davis administration.
Madam Speaker, the confidence we have in our new energy era is reinforced by multilateral investment. The Inter-American Development Bank has 2 active loans supporting this reform agenda. $90 million to Bahamas Power and Light for advanced metering, SCADA systems, and grid digitization, and $80 million to Power and Energy Unit supporting the PEU, supporting rooftop solar on government buildings, upgrades to Mical power stations, the Integrated Resource and Resilience Plan, and tariff reform. These institutions lend based on governance, execution capability, and risk management, not optimism. Our new energy era has received clear international validation. Madam Speaker, at the consumer level, the benefits of our energy reform are direct and measurable. The Equity Rate Adjustment, or ERA program, continues to benefit our residential, small and commercial, and temporary service customers at BPL. The program aims to rebalance the tariff, ensuring that users pay their fair share for electricity services and provide assistance for consumers, particularly vulnerable residential consumers. Over the calendar year 2025, on average, 44% of residential customers' bills were 15% lower than if the bills for the same levels of consumption were calculated under BPL's pre-ERA tariff. This resulted in savings of at least 15% for just under 42,000 customers per month on average over the year. If we use a 5% saving gauge, on average, 82% or 78,252 customers were positively impacted. While ERA resulted in a modest increase for large commercial customers and customers consuming the highest amount of energy per month, vulnerable customers and those using less energy saved, with BPL records showing 30% of BPL's residential customer receiving bills under $125 in the summer months. And as many as 60% of the customers showing bills under $125 in winter. And you can see our chart showing our savings. Our assessment indicates that the equity rate adjustment will save customers approximately $11.4 million annually, while the transition to LNG will deliver an additional $92 million in savings annually. This means that more than $100 million will remain with the Bahamian household and businesses. To be clear, Madam Speaker, these funds do not leave our shores. They circulate within our communities, supporting families, supporting small businesses, transportation, education, and economic stability. Lower energy costs are not abstract policy outcomes. They are tangible economic relief. Madam Speaker, at the system level, hybrid microgrids form a central pillar of the new energy era. These include approximately 84 megawatts of natural gas engines, 97 megawatts of solar generation, 73 megawatt hours of battery energy storage, and 70 megawatts of LNG-based combined cycle generation serving cruise ships. This represents the fleet scale. This chart right here, Madam Speaker, is showing how our microgrids will benefit our family islands all across the Bahamas. Every island will be benefiting from microgrids with LNG, solar panels, battery energy storage, decrease costs to BPL in operation, and decrease capital costs to BPL. IPPs that are under a build, own, operate, transfer structure. That means it returns back to BPL. So no one stays forever and owns it outright. This comes back to BPL with new, improved technology. That's what we are doing across the Bahamas. This represents a fleet-scale strategy that improves resilience, enhances operational visibility, and supports long-term costs. Shore power. For the first time, Madam Speaker, cruise ships will connect to shore power in the Bahamas.
Long time. We start this long time.
They will be required to turn off their engines in port.
Thank you.
70 megawatts of LNG with a combined cycle plant to serve cruise ships. The carbon emissions from cruise ships will be reduced by 30% or more.
In our country. That's right. Thank you.
This is shore power, and also our dual fuel pipeline, which just concluded its RFP, competitive bidding, to ensure that we transport safely, securely, without environmental harm, and mitigate all risk LNG from Clifton to Blue Hill Power Plant. And that is what this diesel pipeline will be doing.
Yes, give me that one. Let me hold on.
The dual fuel pipeline further strengthens national fuel security and continuity of supply. Madam Speaker, the reliability results are clear and verifiable. In 2025, outage frequency was reduced by approximately 45% compared to historic average. Outage duration declined by 35%, even when major weather events are included.
Yes.
On normal operating days, both outage frequency and duration declined by nearly 50%. Madam Speaker, we are seeing results midway of our energy reform. Midway. Smart grid devices prevented tens of thousands of customer interruptions. These projects are on time, on budget, and tracking ahead of schedule.
Yes.
These are delivered outcomes, Madam Speaker. As these resolutions by the Davis administration. Right. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I'm there, I'm nearly there. I thank you so much.
You have all my time today. Just keep on going.
As these resolutions pertain specifically to a historic milestone, the introduction of natural gas at Clifton Pier, representing the first time LNG will be available in New Providence. LNG-powered generation is also an excellent companion to renewable power sources, like solar and wind, which are intermittent. I wish to reiterate for members of the public that Shell North America LNG will act as the LNG supplier, while the government of the Bahamas will serve as the LNG buyer. New Providence Gas Limited will operate the regasification terminal at Clifton Pier, where LNG will be converted back into gas for power generation. I wish to update this Honorable House, Madam Speaker, now of the construction and early work activities that are advancing. But first, I want to just illustrate the phased approach that we will be seeing throughout our energy reform in New Providence. So here you see phase A, which we are heading to be in this year, 2026, where we will have produced by LNG terminal 57 megawatts. Oh, yeah. So remember the engines they thought was under a rental.
Yes.
They're actually under a PPA.
Yes, they are.
They are going to be utilizing the LNG.
Yes.
Wow. In the first phase and beyond.
Yes.
Power purchase agreement. They are producing power. We are purchasing the power. So if no one using power from the engine, we ain't paying them. And we don't have to buy the fuel for their engines. They have to do all of that. Power purchase. As you use it, you pay. Not sitting there and just keep paying.
That makes sense to me.
Phase 1B is a further expansion that includes phase 2, capacity, worldwide that is happening.
Yes.
Worldwide.
Yes, it's good practice.
They have to study.
Yes.
Phase 2 is a capacity increase with more storage tanks and vaporizers.
Yes.
That then takes our power generation capability with LNG at 161 megawatts, right? Phase 3, potential addition of a permanent jetty. That will take us to 172 megawatts. And phase 4 will take us to 190 megawatts LNG produced, reducing the cost, providing cleaner fuel to our consumers, and reducing our GHG emissions.
Yeah. No points of order.
Excavation teams are currently preparing terminal sites to receive critical foundation infrastructure, while pre-mobilization efforts for the main construction phase are well underway.
This is good.
And show that. Across the project footprint, Bahamian engineers, operators, construction crew are turning plans, Madam Speaker, into visible, measurable progress.
What's government doing that?
The Davis administration, as each phase of construction and commissioning unfolds, the Bahamas moves closer, Madam Speaker. You see that?
Yes.
LNG storage tanks ready to ship. See that there?
Yes.
The platform fabrication on its way. LNG piping, buffer tanks, BOG compressor, LNG pump skid, LNG vaporizer, ambient air vaporizers, all of the safety protocols and equipment and material needed to safely utilize LNG and produce power for the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, as I prepare to take my seat, I wish to reiterate that the resolutions before this House give legal and financial effect to the strategy I have outlined. The first resolution approves the government guarantee of a performance letter of credit under liquefied natural gas sale and purchase agreement, securing long-term LNG supply and fuel price stability. The second resolution authorizes the government guarantee of a performance letter of credit under the Terminal Development and Use Agreement, enabling LNG regasification terminal at Clifton Pier, the physical backbone that ensures contracted fuel can be reliably received and utilized. The third resolution approves the government guarantee supporting a revolving line of credit, providing disciplined working capital flexibility to meet LNG obligations without introducing liquidity or emergency borrowing risk. Taken together, these resolutions formalize controlled and managed risk, aligned with operational readiness, supported by international institutions, and already delivering measurable benefits to the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, these resolutions represent discipline, replacing volatility, infrastructure, replacing fragility, and confidence, replacing uncertainty. They protect consumers, strengthen national energy security, and reinforce the Bahamas' credibility in global markets. I therefore, Madam Speaker, commend these resolutions to this honorable House, and I urge their full support. I rest. Thank you,
Michael supports you all the way. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker, we're exactly at 1 p.m. The member for Elizabeth wishes to table those documents, after which, Madam Speaker, I would move that we suspend to 3 p.m. when I understand the member for Marco City will take the floor.
Yes. Seconded. Order the document be brought up? Yes. Order that the document do lie on the table. It has been moved and seconded that the following resolution be agreed. Whereas Bahamas LNG Partner Limited and Shell NA LNG LLC are parties to a Phase 1 through 3 LNG sale and purchase agreement dated 21st of March 2025 for inter alia, the purchase and delivery of liquefied natural gas at the LNG regasification terminal located at Clifton Pier, New Providence. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House approves the government guaranteeing the issuance of the performance letter of credit by Banco Santander S.A. in the amount of $30 million in the currency of the United States of America on behalf of Bahamas LNG Partner, LLL Limited, as required under the LNG SPA, upon such terms and conditions as may be approved by the government. As many, the chair recognizes the honorable member from Marco City, who will be on the floor upon our return from suspension. It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until the 1 p.m. hour. 3 p.m. hour, sorry. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of this House stands suspended until 3 p.m. All right.